Nathan was the kind of man who showed up before you finished asking. Flat tire at midnight? Call Nathan. Moving day? Call Nathan. Broken fence, flooded basement, heavy boxes? Nathan. Always Nathan. The only door in town that never stayed closed. The only person whose own house was quietly falling apart. His neighbor, a perfectly healthy 34-year-old man named Greg, is leaning against the doorframe, scrolling through his phone, while Nathan's elbow catches the cabinet edge for the second time. Greg doesn't look up. Nathan had been that guy his entire life. The one people called first. The one who always showed up. He believed, genuinely, in the way you believe the sun will rise, that being needed was the same thing as being valued. For a long time, those two things felt identical to him. He kept a mental list of everyone he'd helped that month. 14 people. He could name every single one of them without hesitating. But here's what he couldn't do. He couldn't name the last time any of them asked how he was doing. Not as small talk, not as a greeting. Actually stopped and asked. He told himself it didn't matter. That's not why I help people. And he meant it every time he said it. But both things can be true at the same time. You can be genuinely kind and be quietly carving yourself out from the inside. Nathan just hadn't felt the hollow yet. So there he is, Tuesday night, under Greg's sink, and his phone buzzes against his leg. His sister. "Can you help me move this weekend?" He types back, "Of course," before he even finishes reading the message. Not a pause, not a breath, just, "Of course." The way some people breathe, automatic, unconsidered. He hadn't slept more than 5 hours in 11 days. There was a stack of unopened mail on his kitchen table that had become its own piece of furniture. He'd rescheduled the same doctor's appointment 3 times because something always came up for someone else. But none of that crossed his mind. He just typed, "Of course," and put the phone back in his pocket. Greg glanced down from the doorway. "You almost done down there, bro?" Nathan tightened the last fitting. "Yeah, all good." Greg said, "Legend," and went back to his phone. Nathan drove home in the dark. Hands on the wheel, city lights sliding past. Somewhere around the 3rd red light, a thought settled in that he couldn't shake loose. If I disappeared tomorrow, not died, just disappeared, how long before any of these people actually noticed? He sat with that longer than he expected. The weekend came. He helped his sister move. 3 floors, no elevator, a couch that had no business existing. His back was screaming by noon. Her boyfriend spent the entire afternoon on the balcony taking calls. That night, Nathan sat on the edge of his bed, the same bed with the broken frame he'd been meaning to fix for 4 months, and felt something he didn't have a word for. Not tired, not sad. Empty. Like a glass someone had been pouring from for years, and nobody had once thought to refill. He called Ray the next morning. Ray was the kind of friend who said the things you didn't want to hear and was right about them every single time. Nathan told him everything. The sink, the move, the 11 days, the glass. Ray went quiet. Then, "Nathan, when's the last time you did something just for yourself? Not useful, not helpful to anyone. Just for you." Nathan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Ray said, "Yeah, that's what I thought." He didn't give Nathan a list, no 10-step plan, just this. Before you say yes to anyone this week, anyone, stop for 10 seconds. Ask yourself one question. Does this cost me something I actually need right now? 10 seconds. One question. Nathan almost laughed. It sounded too simple to do anything. He would find out it was the hardest thing he'd ever tried. The first test came the very next day. A coworker named Diane caught him in the hallway and asked him to cover her Friday shift. His mouth was already forming the word, yeah, he could feel it, when he stopped himself. He counted silently. 1, 2, 3. He thought about Friday. He hadn't had a Friday to himself in 2 months. He thought about the book on his nightstand with the bookmark still on page 4. He thought about the faucet. He looked at Diane and said, "I can't this Friday. I'm sorry." She stared at him. "Really? Really?" She walked off looking mildly inconvenienced. Nathan stood in the hallway waiting for the guilt to hit. It came, but smaller than expected. And underneath it, quiet and unfamiliar, was something else entirely. He fixed the faucet that Friday. 40 minutes. He'd been listening to that drip for 6 weeks, and it took 40 minutes. He sat in the silence of his bathroom afterward and realized that dripping had been eating at him every single day in a way he'd completely stopped noticing. Over the following days, he said no 3 more times. Each one felt slightly less like betrayal. He started sleeping. He started making real meals instead of eating crackers standing over his kitchen sink at 11 p.m. One morning, he went for a run, first time in 8 months, and reached the top of a hill just as the sun came up over the rooftops. He stood there, breathing hard, and thought, "I forgot this was here." And the world, as it turned out, did not fall apart. Greg found a plumber. Diane found someone else for Friday. His sister, the next time she moved, somehow produced 4 volunteers without Nathan lifting a single box. People are remarkably capable when they can't route everything through one person. But there was one more thing. The moment that actually changed him. About 3 weeks in, Nathan was walking home when he spotted an old man named Earl standing in front of his house, staring at his car like it had personally wronged him. Earl was 78, widowed 2 years ago. They'd nodded at each other across the street 100 times, never really spoken. Nathan almost kept walking. Almost. He stopped, asked what was wrong. Earl said the tire was flat. He didn't know how to change it, and his son was 3 states away. Nathan changed the tire. 20 minutes. But that's not the part that mattered. While he worked, Earl stood beside him and talked about his wife, about how quiet the house was now, about how some mornings he still made 2 cups of coffee before he caught himself. He wasn't asking for anything beyond Nathan's presence, no phone in his hand, no place else to be. Just there. Grateful in a way that didn't need a word like legend. When Nathan finished, Earl held his hand with both of his and said quietly, "You didn't have to stop." Nathan said, "No, I didn't." He walked home slowly, turning that over. The difference between helping Greg and helping Earl. The same action, a completely different feeling in his chest. One had left him hollow. One had filled something back up. And right there on that sidewalk, it finally clicked. It was never really about yes or no. It was about where you're helping from. When you give from a full place, rested, boundaried, whole, it means something. It does something for both people. But when you give from empty, you're not giving. You're just disappearing, slowly, one, of course, at a time. He still says yes. Just not to everyone. Just not every time. And the ones he says yes to now, they feel it. Because there's a difference between someone who helps you because they can't say no, and someone who helps you because they chose to. Nathan finally became the second kind. Every few days we tell a story like this one. Not to teach, not to lecture, just to remind you that whatever you're carrying, someone else has carried it too. If that means something to you, Hit subscribe and stick around. The next story is only a couple of days away. We'd love to have you here.